55-year-old rule. This is a policy. So they're not supposed to mess with you if you're over 55. Not supposed to, but they do it anyway. So I am saying, as it applies to your rating and being 55 or almost 55, I'm 54, they're not supposed to mess with you, but that doesn't mean that they're going to and reduce you. So, I talk to people probably more in my boot camp, and there's guys in their 70s and their 80s that are getting reduced. So there goes that rule. Do they sometimes actually not mess with people that are over 55? Yeah, I'm sure they do that too. But what's reality? What do they really do? And, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass. We've already had that from VSOs, the VA, the military, lots of smoke blowing around everywhere. I'm just blowing reality up your ass. So that's the 55-year rule. The 5-year rule, this is where I saw a lot of this. That's what inspired this little live session tonight. So the 5-year rule is they have to give you 2 exams in order to reduce you. Oh, wow, that's hard. You know what they're going to do? Send them to an exam and send them to another exam, reduced. Not very protected, right? So that's basically where the 5-year rule is. Yeah, all these little rules, they do have protections, but it's not protected. And I'll get to the 20-year rule. 10-year rule. They can't take your rating away. There's a little bit more they have to do. They can't take it away. They could just knock it down to 0. That's worthless. Great. I was at 70%. I thought I was protected under the 10-year rule. How many 70s? A 0. Right? So that's not helping a whole lot. Permanent and total status. Let's go to the 20-year rule. That's when they can't knock it down or take it away, period. After 20 years, they can't touch it, with the exception of fraud, and we're not committing fraud. We're just trying to figure out how to get paid and benefits and, talk about our problems and stuff like that. Permanent and total status does not mean protected. They're just words. One word's permanent. Sounds like a pretty permanent word. Total, like all of you. Yeah, permanent and total. It's not protected. It has different advantages than a normal 100% scheduler rating, or if you have TDIU. P&T status has, it makes it a little bit harder, but it's not protected until you've had it for 20 years. I'm going to read this because I just saw, I posted something in the community tab, and I guess a couple things inspired this live tonight. And throw your questions in here, and we'll check them out after this. So I'll just read this to you. I can't put the blurb on the screen. Didn't get that far into it. So I'm a retired senior national service officer with a major veteran VSO, and I'll tell you that the P&T rating only means that no compensation and pension exam is scheduled. No future exam is scheduled, because that's what it means. It doesn't mean that you're safe from reevaluation and or a reduction. Lost the words. If your P&T and your physician believes either by your treatment at the VA and or your statements about improvements, they've occurred or they're occurring, they can trigger a C&P exam and or a records review, an ACE review. Right? So just by talking about how great everything's going, it's like there's improvement. The guy no longer has a disability. Let's get him checked out. That's how these things, that's what happens with the P&T thing. So he pointed that out, and the only sincere permanent rating is the 20-year rule. And if that's where you're at, I feel great, everything's hunky-dory, and you say that after 20 years, they can't do shit about it. Protected, right, versus permanent versus total. So I talk about these rules because I've encountered some of them, and I just know I'm going for 20 years, 17 more years. That's when I'm going to go after back pay and anything that's a claims action. If you're adding dependents, it's not a claims action. It's adding dependents. You need to. It's either going to compensate you more, or if you got divorced, then you're going to owe them money. That happened to me the last, couple of years ago. So you need to update your dependents. It's not a claims action. But most of these things, increases, secondaries, challenging old effective dates, trying to get paid more money kind of stuff with the VBA, most of those are claims actions, and they will get you opened up. Do they open up and look at every single disability you're evaluated for every single time? No. Do they do it enough that you should be worried about it? Absolutely, because that's what they do. That's the easiest way to get a veteran reduced. So, the extreme version is just my life with the VA, how well they market, how well they kicked me out of the military. It started in the DOD. And then how much they showed me. There was no internet around 1991, but that's no excuse. We care about veterans, whatever. Hand out magazines or pamphlets or whatever we're doing in the early 90s. TV shows or whatever. Those 5 channels on the black and white TV. They didn't do any of that stuff. And I, stepped on my dick over and over and over and over again. And nobody actually just told me the rules at the VA, and they're still not doing that. If they just told us what to do, like, hey, this is what medical evidence is. This is exactly what a nexus is. We're going to change things and actually say exactly what you need. Not why your claim was denied, but they're not going to do that because they're cheap and they don't want to pay, basically. So that's where I come from. I know a lot of you guys come from that same spot, and I know a lot of you guys, or some of you guys, or whatever. There's enough of you that are fans of the VA. Good for you. Same rules apply. You love your VA doctors for right now? Give it time. Your doctor's going to quit in the next 6 months, and then the next asshole they put in front of you, you're going to love him. So give it time, and they will fail you. I wish it wasn't like that. That's the way it is. And again, it's my opinion, right? So you can have your own opinion, and clearly I have mine.